All right, Grixis Hollow Flayer. This is like red-black hollowed one with a fun twist. We've got Soulflayer alongside Hexproof and Keyword Soup and Flying Haste and Lifelink Death Touch. We've played this deck a number of times on stream before. Feels relatively powerful, relatively consistently. I like that this deck doesn't feel like it just takes a tier 1 deck and makes it strictly worse. It takes it and makes it different. It might be a little bit less consistent, but what you're doing ultimately gives you a new axis to attack on. So like Soulflayer, that's like hexproof, and then like Flying and Indestructible, for example, lets you win a lot of games that like the traditional Hollowed 1 deck normally wouldn't be able to win. The small blue splash for Stubborn Denial as well also enables you to answer things like Terminus or Path to Exile that normal Hollow 1 would generally have a hard time with. It's pretty good. It needs like a discard outlet, but it's got like a good, it's got like an honest curve that it's going to get to play if we don't draw a discard card. Okay, sweet. So I'm gonna lead on Flameblade Adept here, because having Flameblade Adept in play means that my Faithless Looting basically deals 2 points of damage, which is nice. Would really like to draw a Street Wraith so I can bring the well, that's a good draw too. Would still like to draw a Street Wraith so I can put this into play for free and bring this back. So this needs to get another black source for the Soulflayers. So I'm going to go ahead and attack for 3 here, and then we'll go Watery Grave, cast Hollowed 1 post-combat. Honestly, hopefully they path one of my creatures this turn, so that way next turn I can cycle Striped Riverwinder and play Soulflayer, so I can have a hexproof monstrosity. Oh, I'm so dumb. It's been a hot second. I could have cycled this and played this for free. I'm aware of what I did. I didn't need to get pathed or draw a land. I could have cycled this and played this for free. That's why this card's good. I got there first. Worked out. When isn't Moto chugging? Let's be honest. Oh, I should have played this pre-combat, right? Because this could have had haste. Yeah, I'm just going to put this back for now. I don't want this to get counterspelled. Like, getting this logic knotted sounds really terrible. Probably see another up for Terminus here. Just Path to Exile? Sure. It's like we're playing against blue-white control. Dingus, thanks for the host. All kind of folks coming over from there. Wow. That is certainly a hand of Magic the Gathering cards that we have. Resolves. You can always find future decks that we're going to be playing later today in the deck queue on my website. Find links to them there. Oh, they click themselves. Okay, makes sense. That's not how that works, friendo. My puppy is very menacing. Alright, please don't Terminus me. We were just on the other side of this, right? Just like, if you draw Terminus, your deck's great. If you don't draw Terminus, your deck's a steaming pile of Donkey Doo. You could theoretically have Settle Wreckage at this point. Sure. We actually have lethal now, right? I bolt them and then I play a Soulflayer with haste. I also just bring back the Flamewake, but that's not lethal, right? Good job setting up Terminus, opponent. Nice, Chase the Mind Sculptor. Oh no, chat, they played Chase the Mind Sculptor. How can we ever win the game now? Oh no, please don't Chase the Mind Sculptor me, opponent. Your card is so incredibly unfair and powerful in Modern. I also think Bontu is probably a little bit weak in this deck. I feel like I'd like this to be like Ritual of Soot or Languish rather than this card. This card leaves a bit to be desired. Like, it can clunk up in this matchup, and like Indestructible actually isn't that good against the what their deck is doing. Yeah, this deck's sweet. This deck hits a good overlap between moderately competitive and doing something that's unique. It gets some of the like busted hollowed one draws that like normal red black hollowed one has, but has a nice twist at the top end with the Zetalpa Soulflayer. Languish does kill Flayers in hollowed one. You're right. So Ritual of Soot is the card I'd kind of like Bontu's to be. Soot is much better. I was thinking we had X4, X5, but we actually have one fish in this deck. So yeah, you are correct that Languish would not be good. Yep. Seems fine. Looking for a Street Wraith. So we can turn one, hollowed one. Get a... Yeah, I'll keep that right there. I mean, is that really... That seems like a non-constructive, useless throwaway comment card, right? Probably time you out if you weren't a sub, if I'm being honest. Like you look at a hand where we had a one lander and you're like, the mana's gotta be bad. Like, that's some nonsense. That's just like very, very stereotypical Twitch-based nonsense, Twitch chat-based nonsense. What's going on, Dunshare? Happy Saturday. It's been a while since I've done a daytime weekend stream, so I figure we'll give some subs and folks who can't normally catch me live a chance to watch. That's the punishment for fetching that. We do still get to put Hollowed One into play this turn, but I could have double looted. Okay. Okay. What you doing? What you doing, friendo? Oh, you have 5 mana spells. That's great. I'm gonna try and kill you before you cast those. Today's plan: kill my opponent before they can cast those spells. going on, Siege? Yeah, I do weekday evenings and weekdays during the day a lot, and I do weekend evenings a lot, but it's been pretty rare that I've been able to do weekend daytime. Ooh, it's actually not even that good, right? Because like they've got 2 creature threats here. Have you heard of Twitch Prime? What's going on, Bossum? Thank you for that. Oh crap! Discarding the island means they can field me off of blue. Awkward. And they're totally gonna field me off of blue here. Yeah, I should have gotten a Steam Vents. Totally should have gotten a Steam Vents. That's on me. Probably dead. Yeah, just gonna play a 5/5 next turn. I guess they don't guarantee to have the land. Mr. Fat Pickle, thank you for the very generous tier 3 sub. I really appreciate that. Welcome. That big level of sub gets to add a deck to my queue every single month, so you can feel free to submit a deck via the form linked to my website. Let me know that's your tier 3 deck for the month. Welcome, welcome. Hope you're having a good weekend wherever you're at in the world. Yeah, I don't really have anything to change. As far as I know, there aren't clearly defined limits for watching bits. There's a number of conditions that go into it. So, this is a hand where I'm actually going to play a tapped land and pass here. Because there's no guarantee I can play Hollowed One next turn if I Faithless Looting this turn. Like, I could get really lucky and hit a Street Wraith. But, like, if I hit a Street Wraith next turn, I can then just, like, bring a Flamewake back. So I think it's good to be conservative here. And I wouldn't have hit. So I'm glad I was a hair conservative. Get to bring this back now. Or cast this, sorry. And then next turn I can. If they don't have a Path or a Rip, I can attack with my Hollowed Boy. Wow, they don't have a path. Okay. They're just like hoping to draw a Terminus. Or like maybe they have Rip and they thought turn 3 Rip on the draw was going to be good enough. They have Condemn, sure. I think both Ral and Crackling Drake are good in Blue Moon tracks. They're good, like, quality cards. Get Detention Sphere and die. Nope. Sweet. Alright, so they could have a counterspell here, so I'm just going to cast this to start. See where we go. The difference between 5 and 6 in Modern is really big. Like, worlds apart, I'd argue. And, like, the fact that Ral impacts the board guaranteed and can kill something is also a big deal. Nice blue-white control deck. They either draw Terminus and win the game, or don't draw Terminus and die. How interesting. I would encourage you to read the card Condemn. Reading is essential. Yeah, but like Ral's a card you can main deck Dunshare. I agree as a sideboard card, I would probably play Niv before. I don't even know if that's true, though. There's just so many Path to Exiles and stuff in Modern. Like, Planeswalkers are harder to interact with in Modern than creatures are by a good margin. This is actually kind of a sweet turn. So I get to do this. I get to Faithless Looting, bin some cards, including this Call the Netherworld. And this Call the Netherworld is going to get cast with Madness and pick the Street Wraith back up. This is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if they drew another brick here, we just bolt them and they die. Welcome to Thunderdome. Get you. Good, clean living. Are there any good blue, black, white cards you recommend for dealing with Planeswalkers? I've been adjusting Primal, Amulet, Nexus, Chromium deck you've played on stream. It's been going well, but I've had a problem with Golgari matchups. So the problem with your question, Steve, is that deck isn't a blue, black, white deck. It isn't a blue, black, white deck. It's a blue, white deck that happens to be splashing Chromium. So like you can't play traditional black cards that eat Planeswalkers like Vraska's Contempt in that deck. Well, Hallowed One in general is a deck that is very good and very consistent, but it is a deck that I describe as emotionally taxing. So what I mean by that is this hand is either the stone cold nuts or it's not going to do a whole lot. And we're going to find out here in half a second. You don't cast Zetalpa. You discard it to cards like Faithless Looting or Burning Inquiry and then delve it away. This hand is very good and it's always a keep, but the power level of it is going to vary drastically depending on how this Burning Inquiry goes. Band Control went 2 and 2. I conceded to Dredge, I conceded to Living End, and I conceded to Panza. Just 3 matches that are not fun. I mean, you don't have to watch. I don't care. I get paid the same to play these decks regardless of how many people are here watching them, so my deck queue has what, 80 decks in it right now? 78 decks in it. So I'm here to work my way through them. If I only had one Hallowed One here, I think I'd play the Flameblade Adept on one, but because I had 2, I think it's right to gamble and try and get 8 power into play on 1. Oh, Dredge. Onward, upward, backward, forward, chat. On average, how many deck requests per day, including lists, do I turn down? I don't know. There's a wide range on that, Nivik. There's some days where I get like a dozen deck requests in a single day, and there's some days where I just get 0. I don't know. I probably get like 2. The average is probably somewhere about 3 to 4 decks per day, and I reject about half the things that people submit these days. We conceded because this deck's never beating Dredge, and we're going to be very miserable while we try. The post-board games are going to involve me trying to mulligan to 3 copies of Leyline of the Void, missing and then dying, or hitting it and then them casting Assassin's Trophy and we die. For people that aren't familiar with my content, if you're here and you're new, I assume most of the people here today are regular viewers. Generally won't have new viewers when streaming against big events. I concede the matches that aren't fun while we play Magic. So if a match of Magic's going to be miserable, I just move on with my life. Just makes me a happier person, makes for better content. Happy Jeff makes better content. This isn't my deck list, Alpa. So somebody else submitted this deck list, and I'm just playing the deck list that they sent me. Excellent. My body's ready to get smushed. Like, this isn't... People often ask, like, would you concede like that in a paper tournament? And that's just really not relevant in paper tournament because, like, in a paper tournament, when you're done playing a match of Magic, you have to wait an hour to play another match. It doesn't work like that in Magic Online. Are we getting turn 2'd? Are we getting turn 2'd? We might be getting turn 2'd, chat. Do you have a green bounce land? Yeah, you do. Yay, Modern. Woo, Modern. All right, for those that aren't familiar with Amulet Titan, this is going to make 8 mana for them. They're going to put Primeval Titan into play. Primeval Titan's going to get Boros. Because I concede early, so we're literally dead here, so I'm going to explain it. Primeval Titan gets Slayer Stronghold plus Boros Garrison. Boros Garrison and Slayer Stronghold get to give the Primeval Titan +4 power and haste. And then the Titan's going to attack, and it's going to fetch Vesuva plus Boros Garrison, which is going to make 4 mana and make it a 10 power double striking Titan coming in. So that wasn't an early concession. That was a we're dead, and I'm conceding instead of making my opponent click through it concession. We really don't have cards for this matchup in our sideboard. Speaking as someone who's played a lot of Amulet Titan, it's not fun to click through and it's not fun to watch, so... Yeah, if we had Stoneforge Mystic, we'd have gotten them there. Like, Alpine Moon is just like, this is the big mana matchup that Alpine Moon's just like not good in. It just doesn't do anything. Hexproof on these doesn't really matter. Yeah, unfortunately, MTGO doesn't output any data like Magic Arena does. So the reason why Deckmaster is able to exist on Magic Arena is because it has an output log file, and Magic Online doesn't do anything like that. Well, I discarded 3 cards I wanted to keep, and I kept all of these cards that I really didn't want to keep. So that went about as that's how playing this deck goes sometimes. Even playing the stock version of this deck goes like that. Sometimes you just cast Burning Inquiry on one, you're like, all right, well, we died. Is twin safe for a mate? Depends on what your definition of safe is. Yep. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why Magic Online and Modern content especially is so hard to grow an audience, and why the Standard content is so much more popular. Is Standard has a smaller card pool, so it's easier to know. Is that a Bajuka Bog? All right, good. Moving along here. I actually was not in the Artifact closed beta Warzoid, so I will not be able to play until my key from PAX is active on Monday. So I didn't, nobody at Valve thought I was special enough to have me in the closed beta. Or I didn't lick the right boots, or however people got into that closed beta. I had to pay someone to go to PAX for me to get a key. Seems really good. Again here, I'm going to decline playing Faithless Looting on 1 because I want a guaranteed played Hollow 1 on 2. That's a little conservative. Like, I could hit Street Wraith if I wanted to gamble, but like, if I miss on Street Wraith and don't find another way to discard cards, then I'm gonna have a hard time getting my Hollowed 1 into play, which means I have a hard time getting Flamewake Phoenix going. Yeah, I demoed Keyforge at Gen Con this summer. The gameplay is very good, and the distribution model for it is idiotic. It's really, really poorly designed. And the fact that there's Keyforge decks that are already selling for like ungodly amounts of money just like makes me laugh so much. All right, so what are the odds this Hardened Scales deck can ever beat Soulflayer? That's Zetalpa plus Gifted Aetherborn, just like 0%. It's like 0%, right? So I'm gonna decline putting the bird in my bin. I'm gonna fetch Shock of Steam Vents. I'm gonna cast this Hollow one. Next turn we'll play Soulflayer and just like assemble Voltron. For people not familiar, the Hardened Scales deck in this format is a green-based artifact deck that plays things like Arcbound Ravager and Walking Ballista and things of that nature. Steel Overseer, but it's a lot of 1/1 counters and a lot of creatures very quickly. Really large boys and girls. Don't mention Voltron, right? Man, does anybody else remember when Wild Nakatl was banned in Modern? Does anybody else remember that format? There was a time in this format where Wild Nakatl was deemed too good. And now we're here. Now we're like, my turn 2/4/4 is not good enough. So they can make this Walking Ballista in 11/11. And actually, this is a really good example of the Soulflayer package being valuable in this archetype, I think. Because if this was a normal Hollowed One deck, we'd be dead to rights here, right? Like, this Walking Ballista is probably unbeatable for a normal Hollowed One deck. But I'm about to put a 4/4 flying indestructible Vigilance Lifelink Death Touch Soulflayer into play, which means that basically I'm saying there's a chance. Take a chance on me. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. A little bit of, well, everybody needs a little bit of ABBA in their life, right? Keyword soup. Don't be greedy. It doesn't need haste. Don't be greedy. What's going on, Var? I mean, if you prefer to watch Standard, no hard I have no hard feelings to watch the Grand Prix instead. My queue's just got a bunch of decks in it, so I just didn't want to take the whole weekend off. Because the SCG is on the West Coast, I'm just not going to be able to stream after the SCG like I often do. Is this Striped Riverwinder out matchup? I think it is. I'm not bringing these Leyline. So Leyline of the Void might look strange in this matchup on the surface, but Leyline of the Void shuts off their modular creatures, which is very important. Removes their ability to put counters on things with Arcbound Ravager. It also turns off Hanger Backwalker for making Thopters, which is good. So I often bring in Rest in Peace or Leyline against the Hardened Scales deck if I have access to those cards. Man, Noxious currently has more people watching him than Star City Games does. I know Star City, like, is just starting, but, like, that's That's an impressive... Arena is so awesome, what it has done for Magic on Twitch. It's just superb. Just 10,000 people watching someone stream Arena. It's like, we're almost like a real game, chat. We're almost like a real game. I'm gonna keep this hand because if we hit either a Faithless Looting or a Burning Inquiry, we could possibly dump 2 Hollowed Ones into play. They found a welding jar. Sure. The Pro Tour actually peaked at like 55,000. It was really sweet. I'm actually gonna wait one more turn. Since I drew this Fatal Push, I'm gonna wait one more turn. Just like push something this turn. Give myself the most possible chances to put these Hollowed Ones into play. Because if I don't hit, and if I blow my load before I hit, we're gonna be in trouble. That's just nonsense. Unlike many places on the internet, if you spout nonsense here without data to back yourself up, we tell you to take a break. Yeah, the team tournaments have a ton of downtime. That's true. Also, like, as someone who is really high on team tournaments to start, the more I watch them, the more I realize they're really not great for viewing experience because there's a lot of people that just don't care about certain formats, and like swapping back and forth between the different formats means instead of getting everyone, you often just get no one. Again, just great example of like that could have gone really well for us, but instead I discarded my second Hollowed One, and now I have 1/4/4 instead of 2s. Just how it goes. I got you, Hippity. And congrats again on your regional top 8, by the way, Hippity. JAC all day is not an easy deck to play. It's a big deal, to say the least. Like, I cannot state enough how awesome Arena is in terms of what it's been able to do for Magic here on Twitch. I was expecting to go kind of deep on Artifact when it released, as like, because like I felt like I was nearing the peak of what I could hit as far as Magic was concerned on Twitch before Arena released, and like since Arena's release, and it's just exceeded my expectations in basically every single way. I really don't think I'm going to be doing a ton of Artifact. Like, maybe I stream it next week and we have like 10,000 people and I'll be surprised. But honestly, the more I watch Artifact, the more I'm going to be surprised if it's actually successful in terms of content. Nothing's going to kill Hearthstone. Hearthstone's successful for a lot of reasons, and a lot of those reasons are things that Arena and Artifact will never touch. Do you think that Arena will help or hurt Paper Magic? I think the answer to will Arena help or hurt Paper Magic is very largely tied to how Wizards of the Coast chooses to approach Arena and how it can impact Paper Magic. I think Wizards has a lot of control over the things that go into allowing Paper Magic and Arena to be very connected and support each other, as opposed to letting them cannibalize each other. If Wizards of the Coast is smart, these two things will support each other nicely for years to come. If they're potentially too greedy with the executives up top and they make some bad decisions, one could hurt the other. Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for the support. The Discord's fun. I like to get more people in there. Discord's a good way for subs to be able to pick my mind even when I'm not online. I'm oft not far from Discord. What advantages do you think Hearthstone has over that Arena and Artifact won't touch? It's designed with mobile in mind, is a big one. Also, and designed with mobile in mind not only goes into the size of the board states that happen in Artifact, but it also speaks to just how the games are designed in general from a game design perspective. I don't see today on your schedule, since we're talking about Arena, am I going to be playing today? I will not be, actually. So I'm planning to, I've been doing a ton of Arena, and I've got a bunch of Modern decks with a lot of points in my deck queue. So I also, my viewer numbers are going to be low today because I'm streaming against events. And since Modern numbers are low in general, I decided to do Modern today. Because if they're going to be extra low, might as well do the thing where they're low anyways. I think I'm winning this race. I should probably count. I don't know. With 2 blockers, I'm probably winning this race. Like, I get to go Aetherborn plus Flameblade Adept this turn. Lifelink. The stat line on this card with these effects is, like, actually not embarrassing in Modern in a lot of ways. This is a card that's, like, reasonable against the aggressive decks that can buffer your health total, and it's effectively a removal spell in a lot of spots. I think we're dead to Hardened Scales. We're dead to Hardened Scales because of Ink Moth, right? They make this a 2-3, they sack this here, they kill us. Good game. If I would have cast Leyline of the Void there, I wouldn't have died, because they wouldn't have been able to modular with the Arcbound Ravager, so maybe I'm supposed to do that. For those wondering why we were dead, we were at 2 poison already, and the Arcbound Ravager was going to go to a 4-5, and then it was going to move 5+1 counters onto the Ink Moth, which will allow it to attack us for 8 exactly and kill us. Do you think there's room for such games on the market reasonably? I don't think so, Metellix. Like the Warhammer card game I've been playing in my spare time. I streamed a little bit of it, but I haven't streamed a ton because it's just not popular. But while I enjoy playing it, I really don't think there's room for another major player in the card game market, digitally speaking. I just can't keep this hand without a way to get things into the bin. No, I don't think we'll ever see support for older formats on Arena. I'm gonna bottom this. I just need lands for my Soulflayer. Yeah, that was... I am familiar with all the ways I could lose a game of Magic. It's a fun way to put it. But that wasn't a very straightforward way of how I was losing, so I want to take the second to explain it, especially since I'm known for conceding matches quickly here. So I always like to take and explain when I'm actually literally dead. So I think I'm supposed to hold this Burning Inquiry because I would prefer to not lose my Soulflayer. So I can bolt something next turn, or I can just, like, shock in this land and play the Soulflayer next turn. So hopefully they play something silly here. I Lightning Bolt it, and then I get to untap and Soulflayer. Ideally not Hanger Backwalker. I'm gonna bolt a Hanger Backwalker though, just so it doesn't get bigger over time. And, like, Soulflayer with flying and haste is gonna be tough to race. Sure. I think I'm gonna kill that one. It makes Blink Moth bigger, but, like, that doesn't really matter. Just wanna, like, use my Bolt this turn. Using the Bolt this turn means that I get to delve in the Soulflayer next turn without exiling my Faithless Looting, which is ideal for me, I think. So Soulflayer will be flying, haste, lifelink, and death touch. So as long as we don't get dismembered, we should be in a pretty good spot. I don't get it, but I'm certain I'm right. Oh, Twitch chat. Is there anything more Twitch chat to say than that? I don't understand what they mean, but I'm certain I know more than they do. This is so easy. Why haven't you done it already? Shouldn't I have looted first to hit Zetalpa? Maybe. Probably. Didn't get punished for it. You're probably right. I didn't reassess my line of thinking when I drew the looting. Yeah, it was funny. I was actually talking to one of my old college buddies the other day, and I was like, my current job is great and I love it, but it's definitely not the way I predicted using my teaching degree when I was studying that in college. All right, are we done here? I just don't know how we're ever going to beat through this. I'm going to flashback Faithless Looting out of the yard, because if I cast the one from my hand, I'm basically just milling 2 cards, whereas this way I'll get to keep one of the 3 cards. What's going on, Garden Variety Troll? Welcome to a live one. I mean, here's the thing though, Metalix. We don't necessarily want those cards in the new format. Like, you hear that all the time with Modern. People are like, oh, can't we just get like Wasteland and Force of Will added to Modern? It's like, well, we don't need Modern to be Legacy Light or like have those cards in it. In fact, one of the things we've talked about a lot with this current standard format, why it's so good, is because of the ratio of the power level of threats to answers that we have in the format. And like putting these absurdly powerful answers into the format doesn't necessarily make the format better automatically. So Hardened Scales, Nature's Claim, all right. All right, we're done. We beat the person who decided playing a control deck was a good idea. We died to 3 people playing proactive Modern decks. I think this deck, on average, is worse than straight red-black hollowed one. It gives up some of that deck's very, very powerful consistency for this kind of over-the-top plan with Soulflayer. I think if you're looking for something that's kind of sweet, we've definitely had a number of leagues that this deck had very reasonable runs in. You can find those on my YouTube channel and my website, of course, under Modern Decks. But doesn't mean it's always going to work. Nivik with the timeout and the sub. Thank you for the sub gift, Nivik. Enjoy, Xerox. Never apologize for wanting to give me money, Civilized Scholar. I'm actually just